Welcome back to the channel for a very special video. This is my 400th video on YouTube. I started the channel in May of 2021, so that's roughly 100 videos a year, including shorts. And I appreciate everyone who has watched my videos, subscribed, commented, whether you're just finding the channel or been here for a long time. I truly appreciate your support. So I am going to be sharing 5 things I have learned doing 400 videos on guitar YouTube. And after each one of my points, I will play a clip of one of my favorite songs to play during demo videos. And I'll be using one of my favorite guitars. And I'll tell you a little bit about the guitars in the descriptions while the song is playing. And that actually brings me to my first point. If you play something perfectly on YouTube, your reward might be a copyright strike. So there have been a couple of occasions in particular that stick out in my mind where I have played some rather famous songs. And I don't even claim to remember off the top of my head because thankfully I've not had to deal with it a lot. There's different levels of copyright. I got one actual strike and one just claim for this. Well, they're in reverse order. The first one was, of the two, was Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton. I just got a notice that said this is going to be muted in the video, rather. So I think I just edited the video and re-uploaded it because it hadn't gotten a lot of views at that point in time. The other was The End of the Innocence by Don Henley, in which I had to take a video down because of that, which I thought was funny because, one, under a proper license, I have released a cover version of The End of the Innocence that you can hear on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. And I know that is not the same as having a license for doing a video on YouTube. Those are entirely separate things, but I just thought that was odd that that song, of all the possible songs. The other thing I thought that was odd about it is there is no guitar in the original recording of The End of the Innocence. It's all keyboards and synths and saxophone and so I just thought that was funny. So that is item number 1 I've learned. If someone is not playing something quite the way you remember it on YouTube, it might be they don't know how to play it or can't play it well enough, or it might be they're trying to avoid a copyright strike. Number 2, you can never guess what videos are going to be popular or not popular. Now, that being said, there are certain general areas. Like, I know that when I'm posting a live performance, even though I'm posting it usually on this channel in the context of me using one of the guitars I've demoed on the channel, that's not going to get a ton of views. Videos where I've done things like compare audio interfaces and microphones, not a ton of views. Guitars, generally the most views. Though one time in particular that shocked me is that to this day, one of my least viewed videos has been up a long time, is about the Gibson Les Paul tribute I got from the demo shop. I thought that was going to be a huge video. It got almost no views, relatively speaking. I was just really surprised because at that time the demo shop was fairly new, and I put a lot of time into that video. And so if you're going to do this, keep in mind that just like anything out in the world, whether you're doing something creative or selling something, you might think you might be able to make an educated guess of what people want and what they're going to like and what they're going to respond to and what the algorithm's going to respond to, but you can never know for sure. Point number 3. If you start a YouTube channel, do not expect to get free stuff. This is my 400th video. I have had exactly no products provided. I mean, I won't lie, when I started the channel, I was hoping maybe that every now and then, if it did well, I would get something. But unless you have a following of probably many thousands of subscribers, especially now that the YouTube guitar world seems to be shrinking a little bit, you're not getting free stuff. You're not even getting stuff to receive and be sent back to the manufacturer. They tend to target the big, I'm not saying it never happens, but they tend to target the bigger channels and people with greater reach because it's marketing for them. And I'm not complaining one bit, because obviously after 4 years and 400 videos, if I didn't enjoy doing this, and I wouldn't still be doing it. If I was in it only for free stuff, I wouldn't still be doing it. But do not expect that. Now, I have gotten some nice comments and some likes from Cable Free Guitar, Couch Guitar Straps, Seymour Duncan comes to mind. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. I don't think JHS ever has, despite the fact that I post a lot of JHS stuff and do so on Instagram as well. So the point being, that's not to say they don't see what you put out there and that they might not appreciate it, because I do know of those companies. I'm sure others that do. But if you think you're going to start a channel in 6 months, Fender's going to start sending you the newest release to demo, unless you develop a very large following very quickly, that's probably not going to happen. Point number 4. One big thing that I have learned is that you have to know your lane if you want to have any type of success. And I do not even claim to be successful on here. What I consider my lane to be is doing demo videos of products I am personally interested in a home setting like most of us probably play in. Because I absolutely love the Anderton's channel. That's part of what made me get interested in this. But I do not have Anderton's resources, and I do not have Anderton's facilities to crank a loud amp up. I am playing in my home, as I think most of us do, with things that I have because I am interested in them, which is actually somewhat similar, because I remember long ago the captain doing a video and talking about this, that everything that they demo is in the store, so they like it to some degree, or he would not have ordered it for the store. So I've not heard too much along these lines, but even though every now and then there'll be some commenter who thinks I have who will bizarrely accuse me of basically being a fanboy for a whatever, even though, like the Ibanez a while back, there was one fellow who was commenting on it, and I had never owned an Ibanez in my life before that. So I have nothing against Ibanez, but no particular affinity. So anyway, the point being, if it seems like I'm usually positive about the products, it's because I bought them because I'm interested in them. You have not seen any shredder guitars with a Floyd Rose and active pickups on the channel, not because I don't think they're good guitars and they're great for people who play that kind of music, but I don't, so I've not demoed any. And I'd actually love to be great at that kind of music, but not a shredder, despite my best of intentions. So that's part of the context of what I do, is I get something with a practical purpose in mind for me and review it in that context in my home, playing at volumes and ways that are consistent with everyday life. And I think that what I just described is probably what 99% of you do. Because even though what I love to do the most musically is to write my own songs and make my own recordings, I'm not going out on big tours. I'm not playing in a studio where I can, crank a stack. I'm doing all this in my home and buying things for those purposes. Uh, Very rare, if ever, do I get something just to demo it. Uh, I'm trying to think if that has ever happened. There have been times that I've been excited because I think it's going to be a good video and people might be interested in it. Uh, but I can't remember a single time I've ever just bought something to demo it. So that is my lane because by the average person standards, I'm a good guitar player, but there's many, many of you watching this who are much more technically skilled than me. Obviously, a lot of YouTubers who are far better guitar players than me. So I'm not here to wow you with my own playing. There's people with much more vast and impressive guitar collections than me, obviously. So I'm not trying to wow you with that. I'm trying to give a real life demonstration of these instruments. And I consider that to be my lane. That's not to say that your lane can't change or grow or evolve. But if you're going to do this, know what you do and know what you do well. In a broader sense, I don't claim to be much of a chef, so I'm not going to start a cooking channel. I don't claim to be a shredder, so I'm not going to make shred videos. I'm trying to actually share knowledge and experience with you all, and that has grown tremendously throughout the last 4 years. And you all have played a role in that with your comments, many of which are nice and constructive, and even the mean ones can be instructive, even if they're entirely off base. It still makes you stop and think if there's any truth to it. So if you're ever interested in doing this, I would highly recommend knowing what you bring to the table and what you have to offer, because ultimately, despite your best of intentions and energy and effort, you're going to have to put something out that people want to see if you're going to have any success. And I don't even claim to have been successful at doing that. But if you want to have a successful YouTube channel, whether it be guitar or something else, you have to know your skills and know what you do well and how you can benefit other people with your unique knowledge. Final thing I wanted to share with you that I have learned in my 4 years on YouTube. Number 5, there is no substitute for experience. So, again, I have been playing, this fall will make 25 years. And I've owned many guitars, but it was not until I started this channel and started playing and started making my own music as well, because those things happened at about exactly the same time, that I appreciated how much of the, common knowledge, so to speak, out there in the guitar world is just wrong. And that we base a lot on assumptions and preconceived notions, as in just about every walk of life. Because, one of my other things I'm very interested in is athletics and physical fitness, and I can't tell you how many things in that realm that have long been considered, common knowledge are just wrong, that have been proven by science and otherwise over the years. Until you have actually had a guitar in your hands, had an amp, had a pedal, and played it yourself, you can only make assumptions based upon what you see on the internet, people tell you in a guitar store, or whatever. I'd use a very simple one. I still know people that think that all Squiers and Epiphones are horrible, and that they won't play anything less than a Gibson or a Fender. I'm thinking of a couple guys I've seen in a shop that I've been to before. And there might have been a time there was some truth to that, but, their Epiphones I have liked better than the equivalent Gibsons, not just for the price. To this day, the Epiphone Joe Bonamassa 1955 copper iridescent dual P90 Les Paul you saw a few months back on the channel is probably my favorite Les Paul I have ever owned. And I have owned 3 Gibsons at one point or another. And there was a time when I was a kid, I probably would have agreed with that. There are people who say you can't play heavy music with a guitar like this. That's not at all true. There are people that say that this pedal company or that, like Behringer pedals, are cheap and no good. Well, yeah, they come in cheap casings, but the SF300 fuzz pedal I like better than some fuzzes I've owned that cost 5 times the price or more. You get into the whole tone wood thing, which just exhausts me. But you'd be surprised how many people talk about things like that who, once pressed, have no firsthand experience. So, one thing I have learned, if you're watching this video, it is great to watch me and any number of other YouTube channels to get your a basis of knowledge. But until you experience it for yourself, you'll never know for sure what you think of something. Like, for example, going back to that Joe Bonamassa Les Paul, which I had to sell because it's expensive to do this. I think I actually sold it to pay for Christmas presents to people dear to me, which I hated to sell it because it was my favorite Les Paul. The Guitarista's channel, which I love, got one, and he wasn't that crazy about it. But I noticed that mine was under 8 pounds. I have never seen another one on a YouTube channel or in stock on Sweetwater that was under 8 pounds. I got a really good one. If I would have just watched his video or gone by, what I saw in Sweetwater and things like that, not that the weight's the only deciding factor. I think it just was a sign that was just a really resonant and just great feeling guitar, among other factors that made it great. I might not have ever tried that guitar out. But once I played it for myself, I understood. For example, I'm a huge Telecaster person. But until I started playing a bunch of different Telecasters, this has a C-shaped neck, which I love. I love the sound of a 50 style Telecaster more than a 60 style one like this one. But that big U-shaped neck is just not something I like. On paper, it seems like it would be something I would like, but until I tried it out, I didn't know. I think my most viewed short of all time is just when I was grabbing the necks of the new Fender Standard Series, a Classic Vibe, and an Affinity in a local guitar shop, and saying that they didn't feel the same because some people were claiming that the Indonesian-made Fender Standard Series was just a rebadged Squire. And I actually wondered if that was true myself. And then just spending 20 seconds in the guitar store just doing that to all 3 necks, were like, no, these are not the same necks. Not even close. But if you would have listened to a lot of people on YouTube, I wouldn't have known that. So I'm not saying trust no one or anything of that nature, but as much as these videos can be informative, you will never know until you try something out for yourself, because even the people you like the most on YouTube and tend to agree with the most might have some very different opinions on certain things, and it usually is an opinion. Like, again, I'll say the Guitaristas, he and I love a lot of the same guitars. He basically has a much more elaborate and successful version of my channel. He doesn't like Strats. I love Strats. So I'm probably not going to listen to him when it comes to Strats. Not because he doesn't know what he's talking about, but because we have different opinions on Strats. But even that being as it is, until you go out and play one of a whatever, you won't know for sure. So to boil this down, as much as you can learn on here, until you go out and try for yourself and experience these things for yourself, you will not know for sure. And I have in the course of making videos for this channel, I've tried to demonstrate that as well with even some little videos like comparing different types of strings to one another. Again, there's a lot of conventional wisdom out there that is not true. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for celebrating 400 videos on YouTube. I'm looking forward to sharing more with you in the future. I have some, I think, interesting videos coming up. A fun comparison. Got a new guitar coming up in a few weeks. It should be good. But again, I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, please do. Everyone helps. Thank you for all the comments and likes over the years, even the mean ones. And until next time, keep on rocking.